This is your girl IkwerreGirl Acheru, coming to you all the way from Talk2Dot. My channel, as you know, talks about identifying what domestic abuse looks like and what domestic violence looks like, knowing the red flags, knowing the signs before you actually get into it. Now, going forward in the month of March, based on popular demands, I want to create these little short episodes and little short series that are between 5 to 10 minutes so that you can watch it and understand what's going on in your life and situation, and obviously touching on different things. Now, one of the topics I will talk to you today is about an artist called Twigs. Now, Twigs is also married to a popular celebrity as well. But what's happened to Twigs is she's found herself in a bit of a situation where she's come out and talked about it. She's been in an abusive relationship and it's been really hard for her. One of the messages that Twigs is trying to spread to people out there is that domestic abuse, it cuts across race, culture, sexual orientation, your financial status and stuff like that. A lot of times what I find people saying to me in what I do is that ladies that find themselves in abusive situation is because maybe they're not a bit exposed in life, maybe because they're not educated or something like that. But then there you have Twigs. She's a celebrity, she's rich, she's an artist, she's well traveled and all that, but she found herself in an abusive situation. Another thing that Twigs said that is quite interesting is, why do people actually ask, why didn't you leave? That question actually sounds like you're shaming the victim. Now, there is a million reasons why a person doesn't leave an abusive relationship, but what someone who's come out of abuse doesn't want you to do or to ask them is, why didn't you leave? Didn't you see the signs? How could you not have known? Maybe that's what you wanted. All of these are different ways of victim shaming, and it's not good. A lot of times people think about the why did you not leave question, that they end up staying there. A lot of times people stay in abusive relationship because of what society is going to say, because of the perception of people. If you haven't been following the story on Twigs, I think you should read her story, because it exposes a whole lot of things where you see people who look like, in the public eye, the perfect couple, the people that everyone wants to be like, you know. But the truth of the matter is there is another side, which is off TV. Sometimes we have a perception about abuse victims, and in our minds we feel like, yeah, if I saw someone who was going through an abusive relationship, we'd be able to identify them. But the truth is, a lot of times it doesn't actually seem like we think it is. A lot of times people in abusive relationships, especially the emotionally abusive ones, the psychologically abusive ones, it is very difficult to spot. What happens at the end of the day is that someone in an emotionally abusive relationship turns around and begins to blame themselves for what has happened. They begin to take in what has been fed to them. They begin to believe, maybe it was my fault, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I triggered them. And the reason why a victim of abuse feels that way is because out there in society, the abuser seems the perfect person. Everyone will tell that victim, like, you're so lucky to have him, you're so lucky, you're just the best couple out there. So the victim of abuse, of course, in the house being told all the time that you're the troublemaker, you trigger me, you cause problems, you're damaged products, the way you reason is what causes the problems. That is what makes a victim of abuse stay in a situation where it is. So I would advise you, if you haven't been following the story on Twigs, the artist, I think you should listen to her story. I'm actually going to take a bit more time to talk more about what Twigs has said and the things that she's been going through. So FKA Twigs in a relationship has been really stormy and rocky, but one of the things that sparked this whole thing of the assault and of the case, and her coming forward to put up a case against her partner, Mr. LaBeouf, I hope I'm saying that LaBeouf, I should be able to say that because I speak French-ish, is that one of the incidents that happened was him throwing her against the car and screaming in her face. Now, he's come out to say he's not in any position to explain to anybody why his actions made them feel anyhow. You understand? He's also come out to say that he's not going to make apologies, or he's not going to apologize or explain to people because he's got PTSD and stuff like that, and he's on a 12-step program. The point I'm trying to make is, yeah, he could have PTSD, it could actually cause his imbalance and stuff like that, but I think the step towards me taking a sympathetic approach towards what he said is him actually saying, I've got PTSD and my behavior was uncalled for. My behavior is not acceptable. I effed up, I did wrong, and I'm really sorry. But when a person comes and is in your face, like, I don't care what you think, this is who I am. I'm on the 12-step program. I'm seeking help. I've got PTSD, and that is the reason why I'm the way I am. You know, it almost sounds like a narcissistic personality where a narcissist is telling you, this is who I am, accept me or don't accept me. I don't care, I'll just be who I am. No change. Because this is the thing. There is a fine line between someone who has an issue and says, I have an issue, I'm sorry for my behavior, and genuinely I need to change. And another person who says, well, I've got a problem, you deal with it. You triggered me. You don't have a problem, so why trigger me? Why would you start that kind of conversation when you know that's going to tick me off? You get the point where I'm trying to make. No one is perfect, and no one should say they are perfect. But I think what happens is that if you have a problem, talk about your problem, deal with your problem, and also acknowledge the fact that you may have been wrong. I have a personal problem with people that always want to throw blame on someone else. If someone says, you did me wrong, your response shouldn't be, but how about what you did to make me react in this way? How about, all right, I'm sorry I did you wrong. You understand? Start from there, especially when it's a reasonable cause. I mean, this may not apply in all situations, but generally, I mean, if you slam someone against the car, you're screaming in her face, like, seriously, what that about? What she do? But yeah, that's what we get in abusive relationships. And I'm quite proud of FKA Twigs, because coming out is not that easy. Coming out to talk about it without thinking about your publicity, your rating, what your fans will think, what your fans will not think. But taking that step out, I think that actually gives a lot of good vibes, or sends a lot of good vibes to victims that are struggling. And most importantly, it gives a lot of courage, you know, and it gives a lot of strength to professionals that are going through that, to wealthy people that are going through that. Because a lot of times I talk with women, I talk with men as well, who are going through stress, but they seem like, you know, they're career people, they're established people, they're well-traveled people. So they feel like, how can I talk about it? Especially with women. I manage lots of businesses, I travel the world, I do this and that. How can I tell people that I was being abused? How can I tell people I lived in a relationship where I couldn't talk, where I couldn't make any decisions, where I was hit? So they don't talk about it, which is why when they do come out to talk, people are shocked, like, how is that possible? You know, and all of those questions like, why did you stay there? Why didn't you leave? You know, it's difficult. Another thing you need to know about professionals that are being abused is that because they are professionals and potentially like managerial positions and stuff like that, they are used to fixing things. They're used to solving things. They're used to managing things, managing their team members, managing temperament. So when they find themselves in a relationship, they see it as, well, I manage a whole lot of things. I can manage this. I can fix this. But in the process of them saying, I can fix this, they get themselves in a mess. And the longer you stay in an abusive relationship, it breaks you to a point where you can't do nothing, and you now become, so to speak, and for lack of words to use, a puppet. You understand? In a regular relationship, don't get me wrong, in a regular relationship where you have two people who are willing to listen to feedback, to work on themselves, if you try to fix things, potentially it will work. But in a relationship with one party, that there's something wrong with them, you're not going to be able to fix it. Instead of you fixing it, they'll break you. So as I always say, if you are in an abusive relationship, don't stay there. You need to get up and go. You need to get up and go. You need to just walk away from it. You understand? Mostly abusive people don't change, especially narcissists. I'm yet to find one that has changed. You understand? When you find them, let me know. And besides, if an abusive person or a narcissist could change, let them change for someone else. Because if they're changing for you, you'll always be the trigger. If they've manipulated you and controlled you for so long, it's going to be a struggle for them not to manipulate and control you anymore. So, like I said, you potentially need to walk away. Walking away from a situation doesn't mean a relationship over. It means you taking a step back to understand, what am I dealing with? And, you know, see clearly. Because a lot of times when you're in it, you can't see. You don't know how far in you are. You don't know how much buried you are into the situation. So from me to you, as always, don't stay in isolation. Talk to someone. And if you've got no one to talk to, please talk to Dot. From me to you, I always say, send you much love, peace, guidance, and respect.